Voltron Network.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the DC vs. Marvel podcast, where we talk about the latest DC and Marvel movie news. My name is Uz, aka Uziman Diaz, and I am representing DC.
Kind of. That's Hydra right there. We're not gonna fall for the Snyder face. Come on.
and once again in the red corner, representing Marvel Comics, is my boy Eds, aka actually that's Fox, man. What are you talking about? There's Fox
Still
going
Marvel.
on there, man.
It's still Marvel. It's still Marvel.
Yeah, representing Marvel is my boy Eds, man. How are you doing, bro?
Doing good, man. Getting by.
Getting by, man. It just is like Groundhog Day, isn't it? Just again and again and again, every single day. Just like
sleep's completely messed up. I'm not, but I can't. I just decide what's the point of sleeping. I'll just watch a few more videos or just it's just like, what's the point? That doesn't make no difference. One day is blurred into the next.
Yeah, that's exactly true, man. I mean, like, you know, sometimes like you have a routine and it's just like you feel like you're not doing that routine or whatever, and it's just not working out properly. Like I drive like you know, a couple of hours a day at least, right, when I'm doing work, right? So basically somebody bought something off me off eBay, right? And what I did was I pumped up the price a little bit for the delivery, and I was like, I'll deliver it. Right, so basically, it was like it was a mistake because it could have been anywhere in the country, whoever bought the bloody thing, right? And the guy who bought it was like nearly 2 hours away. But for some reason, I went and I did it, and then I actually enjoyed that drive because I haven't driven that far for freaking, you know, months almost. So yeah, it's just weird, man. Just continually.
Probably the most time you've had it on your own.
Yeah, I listened to loads of podcasts. We're just like seeing this random scenery in like in the Cotswolds and stuff like that. Stuff that I've never seen before. Just like sometimes, just you know, some people don't like driving, man. I do. I just like get in there, getting on the open road.
Much, but I've been starting walking, going for walks, and I saw badgers the other day. Like, I've never seen a badger in my life. Growing up in London, you don't really see, besides foxes and pigeons, you don't really see animals.
Was it a big one? How big was it?
6 of them, and they were big, and they are brave as they don't care. They're like right next to me as I'm walking past them. They want to leave the rubbish bags that they were tearing apart.
They're vicious, man. Honestly, they are. You don't want to go near a badger, yeah, because they are freaking vicious, mate.
Obviously, I got lucky then because they could overwhelm me.
Yeah, because we're more in the countryside kind of thing, and it's like, yeah, you don't want to go near a badger, mate. Right now. Yeah, unless you got a dog. Unless you got a dog with you, don't go near a badger, mate. You know what I'm saying? So
foxes, buddy, just that's weird.
Foxes don't give a crap either. I remember there was this like story a while back about some fox went into some dude's yard and like tried to attack the kid or something like that. It was in London a couple of years ago on the but it's just like these foxes don't care either, man. Yeah, but there was somebody who's showing this video. I was seeing this video on Reddit where there was dolphins. They've started bringing like dead squid and like rocks and stuff like that to the shore to try and get humans, because they usually have human interaction because the humans are on the boats.
Yeah.
But because there's no humans on the boats, they're bringing like rocks and like dead squid and stuff to say like, look, we're still here, come and play with us, kind of thing.
That's so especially when you know how intelligent dolphins are supposed to be. Unless it's the other way and they're saying, look what you've done. Look at our friends that you have killed. Unless that's what they're doing. You kind of think,
you never know, man. You never know. That's the thing, man. As soon as I was looking at that, I ended up dropping down a rabbit hole. I know, guys, this is a DC Marvel podcast. It's not thinking, but I'll just quickly digress on this mission, man. I basically saw this thing where apparently the Americans, they saw this like whale basically, right? And they saw this beluga whale, which apparently are like super intelligent. It had these like straps and these like little kind of like things attached to it, and they were Russian like
The Russian
electronic
thing. I heard
devices.
about it, yeah.
Yeah, so these Russians are like training these like whales to and they're like, why would they be training a beluga whale? Maybe to like take a bomb over to a ship or something like that and
It
not
is
be detected
weird,
and stuff.
like
It's just like,
even when you think of what surveillance, but what is by the ocean or by that they could, unless it's like a military thing, swim up next to a naval ship or something. But what information could you get from that?
I don't know, unless it was like they're not bothered about a whale. A whale goes near a ship, it tells you how many ships there are over there, and then I don't know, man, but it's mad. Like, this is the tip of the iceberg. Like, the stuff that they're doing, obviously we have no idea, man. Just, you know, so yeah, so guys, we are actually going to talk about DC and Marvel, because that is obviously what we're here to do. And it's not just going to be going to be about this stuff. Although this is the thing, man, I don't know about Ed's, but I could literally spend hours talking about conspiracies and serial killers, like literally I can spend
Spin-off podcast, guys. Conspiracy versus serial killers. That'd be the
exactly, man. Exactly. That's the thing. Like on the way when I was driving, I listened to like 3 different podcasts on like mysterious like deaths and stuff like that. how they tried to relate them to different things and stuff. It was awesome, man. Absolutely loved it. So going from weird conspiracy type stuff to a weird and it's a horrible link. It's going to a weird but horrendously rubbish TV show there as well. Batwoman.
Damn! Yes, I was gonna watch Stargirl. It was on my to-do list. I'm gonna squeeze it in before the show. I completely forgot.
Okay, well, we'll review Stargirl next time, because
Give your general opinion, though.
Okay.
But CW shows usually start okay before they just.
It's not like, okay, so you know when I watched Watchmen, and when I watched what's the other one with the robots? Westworld, right? Yeah. So you watch that and it's like, it grabs you and you're like, oh, wait a second, this is interesting. You watch Lost and it's like, oh, wait a second, this is interesting. This is like, yeah, okay, it's all right. It's not offensive. It's just, yeah, maybe. The thing is, I barely know what this character is, right? So it's kind of like, the only reason why I'd want to watch it is for the JSA to turn up, because I know the JSA are going to turn up at some point, and then it would be like, okay, that would be my interest in the show there. But as it is, I don't know. I mean, it's a show about a teenage girl with superpowers, so you know who it's going to be aimed at, and you could tell by watching it, you know it's going to be who it's going to be aimed at. So the people who are probably saying that this is a good program, like kind of programs about the teenage girls targeted towards teenage girls.
He liked that first episode.
Okay, so Mo liked it. So yeah, I mean, I guess he kind of likes programs that are targeted towards teenage girls, I guess. It's inoffensive. That's what I'll say. It's not something that is gonna split a fandom or anything like that. It's not anything great. It's not anything bad. But this is the thing, man. It's like, every time I when I say these kind of things, people are just like, you know what? You're really negative about DC stuff. Why are you saying this kind of thing? But it's like, look, we've had these kind of things there before. We're lucky that we grew up in a generation where we had like Buffy and all these kind of things, right? Where, where it showed these kind of like ways to show. Yeah, so you show a program where you've got something like Buffy, and it's like, this is actually a really good show, and it appeals to loads of different people, and then you get this and it's like, okay, it only appeals to one demographic. Why do I have to like that? It's not aimed at me, you know. So why do I specifically have to like this thing, you know what I mean? So that's the way I think about it. But I guess if you watch it and then we'll review it together and then dissect it a bit and stuff there as well, man. So that wasn't actually the program that I was going to talk about, because we were going to talk about Batwoman instead. So, guys, the news about Batwoman. If you haven't already known, I put this up on the Facebook page. Ruby Rose has quit the Batwoman, and she basically after one series, and lots of stuff have been coming out about it, which we'll go through there in a minute. And also, Ed, have you been watching this at all? You watching any of this? Or?
I've watched at the beginning to see what it was going to be like because I liked the character. Shouldn't really be saying it out loud as a Marvel guy, but I enjoyed the initial run of Batwoman, especially the art. Art was insane in those first run in Detective Comics. But yeah, it's that's got that CW stink on it, which I just couldn't get past.
That's the big problem. That is the big problem there with it. And basically, I'm going to say something that you guys probably, given the fact that I've put all this stuff on the Facebook page and stuff like that and constantly been hating on it, I'm going to say something that is probably going to think is a bit weird, but I actually am happy for Ruby Rose that she's quit this show. And the reason being is that, okay, so she had a really bad injury and damaged her neck. And they were saying that she could have severed her spinal cord. She could have basically been paralyzed, right? A few months later, you had the boom that they were doing in a stunt. There was a production assistant who wasn't even, I thought it was a stunt woman at the time, but I researched it. It wasn't even a stunt woman. It was a production assistant. They were doing the stunt. They lowered the boom and they lowered it on her head and she's now paralyzed, right? So you not even a stunt person. This is a production assistant who's away from the action, right? So you've basically got the main star getting injured, and a couple of months later, you getting a production assistant being injured. Right now, if it happens once, like we've seen it happen countless of times. You look on the Deadpool 2 set, obviously something happened. You look at other things. If it happens once, Brandon Lee, of course, yeah. And you kind of look at these kind of things and you think, okay, if it happens once, what happens is the production team learn and they're just like, you know what, we've got to prevent this happening again, whatever. When it happens twice, you got to think, wait a second, there's a problem here. And the main problem with all the CW stuff is that the budget is super low because hardly anyone, and I'm sorry for CW fans, hardly anybody watches these shows. Like they top out at a mil, like 1.2 mil people. That is not enough. Like, you think about these films that are on Netflix where people say, oh, not many people watch that. But there's like, you get like 50 million people watching these films and stuff, right? And you compare that to something like the CW where it's 1.2 mil. It's like tiny amounts of people watch it. Because of that, the budgets are really low and they cut corners on absolutely everything. Ruby Rose basically there's rumors that have come out from Variety, and Variety I kind of trust because it's a proper news kind of thing. They were saying that she was tired with the amount of hours that she was having to do. 14-hour days basically to 16-hour days continuously. The amount of work that had to be done there in it there as well, and also the injury that she suffered.
These things are all in Canada as well, so she's away from home, friends and family, all of that in LA. And she had a successful modeling career. And even though she wasn't a good actress, she was actually doing good work as small parts. But, Orange is the New Black. She did a significant part in that. And, she was in John Wick. And she was getting all these, like, little parts in, like, bigger things. So she's kind of sacrificed that to do this show, which no one watches. It's like, yeah, why would you? The reviews are always terrible on this, so it's like, come on.
The reviews are awful, and basically you've got the Rotten Tomatoes reviews, which are good, but the Rotten Tomatoes is kind of like, if it's got a little political message in it, then suddenly everybody loves it, and it's the darling of the shows or whatever. But the thing that I have to say about her is that it's interesting because if you get a really good director, right, and a really good writer, they can make even the worst, the worst actors or whatever be awesome, right? And the problem with this is you got second-rate directors, second-rate writers. Some of the stuff that they're doing, I saw this one. Remember, there's that scene in the trailer, and she's basically going to get the bat suit, right?
Yeah.
And the guy goes, Luke Fox is like, this suit is perfect in every single way, and she's like, it will be it will be perfect if it fits when it fits a woman, right?
Yeah.
And somebody's made another video about that, but they've put in another woman, so it's like it will be perfect when it fits another woman, because and then they're just going to turn up, and it's kind of like in MCU, can you remember when Terrence Howard was replaced by Don Cheadle, and the first time you see him, he turns up at the court case with Tony Stark, right? And he turns up there, and you're just like, what? What happened to War Machine, right? And then he says he says something. Tony Stark says something, and he's like, yeah, it's me. Deal with it. And it's like that has just said like, okay, there's a new actor playing this part. It's one of the most perfect things that I would say in the MCU. That is literally just like, don't talk about it. It's done. There's a new actor here. You know what I mean? And that is the same.
One of the few things I didn't like. Like I love John Cheadle as an actor. Him playing War Machine, I've never liked. Never liked.
Did you like Terrence Howard better?
I thought he suited it better. And even if they had someone that was more like him, his presence, his size, Cheadle's physicality doesn't work for me. He's too weedy and
he doesn't look like a soldier, does he? Like a soldier kind of thing. But you know what? This is the problem. If people take your words in context, right, and they say, "Oh, Ed Reese Antonio from the from the DC vs Marvel podcast has said this," right? And because of that, we're gonna introduce the new War Machine, Dwayne Johnson. Right,
way the other side of things. Yeah.
His physicality will actually fit this role, right? That's the problem. But yeah, I mean, there's already some people who have been saying that they want to do the role. There's one person from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I can't remember what her name is.
I think I know who it is. It the one that plays Rosa?
Yes, Latino lady.
She categorizes herself. Yeah, she might be a bit old. There's a wrestler as well that wants to do it.
There's a wrestler I've heard as well, but I was looking and I was like, I don't know who this person is. So do you want to explain?
Sonya Deville, she's like their WWE's first openly gay wrestler, and whether she could act, I don't really know, because what she does in wrestling ain't really the same. But nah, she's too green. I don't think she'd be that much better than Ruby Rose, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, do they? The whole point in this is that the scripts themselves are just awful, right? And there's stuff. The thing is, if you have something in a comic book, right, it might look good, it might sound good, it might look great on the page, and then you think, okay, let me translate this to the film, and it doesn't, or a TV show or whatever, and it doesn't quite work. And a lot of Batwoman stuff is like that. So the Hush episode you haven't watched, right?
No, I haven't. But
okay,
what
do you want me
to
to?
Batwoman, hardly any of it was like the book. Like they had characters and little things, but it wasn't like that at all.
It's kind of like they've taken a few things, like, okay, yeah, Alice is like the bad one in the Batwoman comic, so it must be in here. Alice is like that, but it's kind of like, this is the one problem I have with all these shows. They skirt around the GOAT, which is the guy behind me, right? And basically what they do is they skirt around, and it's like, okay, we really want to have that main guy who is Bruce Wayne or Batman, but we can't. So let's just make every single other thing around it. And my thought process is, if you can't make it, just don't make it. Just make something else. Like, who wanted a Batwoman? No one. You could have made a Bat Family film around, Nightwing, Tim Drake, Batgirl, Batwoman. Yeah,
could have been good.
They could have done it.
The boy shows us that even that, you have a comic, like a few people may know the comic book, but the general population of people watching Amazon Prime have no idea about the boy's comic book. So they're just watching this show, rating it on its own value. And these are characters they don't know, but they still fell in love with it because it was well written and well directed and well produced. That's all it has to be. This has to be good.
Well, that's the thing, but the CW has literally second-rate writers in it, so it's never gonna be decent. It's never gonna have that level that is required of this kind of thing to make something interesting. For example, like, okay, so do you mind if I spoil the Hush thing? You ever gonna watch this or whatever? So basically, we know like Hush, he is it depends what canon you're talking about. So if you're talking about the film canon, he was the Riddler. Let's forget about that. We're talking about the comic book canon. He was the surgeon. Forgetting his name now, Thomas. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But anyway, basically, in this, he is playing that same role, right? But the funny thing is that he basically goes to see Alice, right? And Alice is like, "Oh, let me, I want to resurrect your face," right? So she's basically got this like ability to like reconstitute somebody's face or whatever, right? And he's like, okay, fine. Let me have my face like reconstituted, because obviously he's like badly scarred and stuff underneath it, right? So he starts to like unveil the bandages, and it's Bruce Wayne underneath, right? So he's now got Bruce Wayne's face, basically, and that was the major reveal at the end of Batwoman series 1. Was like, Hush is now Bruce Wayne, or he's not really Bruce Wayne. He's still the guy, but he's now got Bruce Wayne.
I blame. Like he has control over all of this. He's the quality control guy, and he's just letting all of this shit slide. He just does not care. Doesn't care. He just wants to get his money, do whatever.
He wants to get his money, and he's just like, I honestly just think like, they can make it so much better. They could just go very simple, easy stories. Have one villain throughout the whole thing. There's no need to introduce Hush anyway. You've got Alice, go through the whole storyline about Alice, and then go and introduce a new villain in the next stage. That's my greatest fear for Titans. That's my fear for Swamp Thing when it gets CW'd. Green Lantern when it gets CW'd is these are all my like fears, basically. Like
about the Swamp Thing, because on one hand, I'm like, oh no, they're going to ruin this thing, because I actually enjoyed Swamp Thing when it was its own separate entity, but now it's being brought into CW. And yes, we're going to get the Swamp Thing with Constantine moments, but overall, is it going to be worth it for just the crap that he's going to have to deal with? It's going to be so...
It's the script writing. The script writing is always horrendous, right? It's always horrendous, okay? And it's just like, especially with things like The Flash and stuff like that, thing about the Flash is like, Flash is a very fantastical character, right? So you can't just keep having, okay, he's going and gets another speedster and another speedster and another speedster. It's just like, it's just like horrendous, man. Why, so all of these kind of things are like that. And this is why I kind of think like, HBO Max has got this thing with like a big budget and all this kind of stuff. The other thing is that, have you heard the legal thing that's going on between HBO and HBO Max? Mm-mm. HBO Max, right, is not HBO, right? Basically, Warner Brothers own the rights to the name HBO, right? So they can use it on anything. They could put it on like, I don't know, they can make a series of Riverdale, right? HBO Riverdale, whatever, right? They've got the rights to put it on absolutely everything. So they're basically created HBO Max, but HBO Max is not HBO, right? They're going to be showing all the stuff from HBO. HBO has its own channel, right? And it still has its own channel, which will still be there. But HBO Max is a different entity. And the funny thing is that there's this little kind of legal wrangle that is going on at the moment that is like, okay, you've got HBO Max. The CEO of HBO is like, look, wait a second, you're basically using our name to create this channel. And it's basically like you're trying to bring people to the channel by utilizing the name, which of course they have the rights to do, but it's got nothing to do with us.
Yeah, like Stargirl could be one of those things that damages if it doesn't maintain that high level, it brings the whole HBO thing down. That's weird, because I thought Warner Brothers owned HBO though, just completely.
Yeah, but it's kind of like I don't know if you remember, quite a while back they had Fox News, and Fox TV, they're two separate kind of entities. They were having like a battle over The Simpsons because The Simpsons was ripping Fox News all the time, and you know they were just like, oh, you know, they're just like ruining our name and stuff. And even though they're under the same parent company, they're separate kind of entities. So it's the same kind of thing. Like the parent company is Warner Brothers, HBO Max and HBO are different entities, and they're basically like, okay, well, you're using our name to create this channel, but actually it's the implication that, you know, you're using.
I don't blame you. How do you go from Sopranos to Stargirl? Like, I'll be mad too. All this hard work to create this image of this company.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, they're in effect, HBO Max is actually Warner Brothers streaming service. That's what it really should be called. But strictly, they are using the HBO name to create this channel to get people to join up to it. So I kind of understand where that CEO is coming from. That, you know, that is basically like using our name for the wrong thing. But as long as they don't get the two writers from Game of Thrones to come and start doing, you know, DC stuff, then
give it time.
Then give it time, yeah. Then that would be the biggest problem. So let's flip on to some Marvel now, man, because we've been DCing like crazy. And if you see, Eds has actually got the T-shirt on of this guy. So we're talking about Deadpool. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about Deadpool last time and whether Deadpool will come up and stuff like that. And Rob Liefeld, who is the creator of Deadpool and the writer of Deadpool 1 and 2, he's basically been clarifying his comments on Twitter and stuff, saying there's like zero plans for Deadpool 3 and you know, whether it would arrive and stuff like that. So is this a way of Disney, Marvel cleaning house, or is this just like, we don't want the old people in, like Rob Liefeld, we're bringing our own team in, they're going to do it, and see you later, mate, kind of thing?
Yeah, I see both sides of this, because from his point of view, and let's be honest, all he did was create the character and, you know, oversee the character in the comic books. He doesn't really do much in terms of the movies. He's just, you know, getting money because he still owns the right to the character. But I get the frustration that there's nothing moving forward with the movie because it's still in the zeitgeist. People still familiar with Deadpool, and yeah, you don't want to leave it too long. You don't want to do that Avatar 10-year gap between movies. But then at the same time, with Marvel side of things, you've got this universe now. You've got mutants, and you're planning on introducing them into the main MCU at some point. So then, where does Deadpool fall in that? And I know he breaks the third wall, so you're kind of thinking maybe it doesn't matter, but they've gotten this far by making everything movie to movie logically make sense. The moment you start kind of breaking out from that, that's when things start to frail on the edges, and it could all kind of lead to things falling apart. So you have to get the frustration. I want a Deadpool movie. I want the X-Force movie, which we're but you have to introduce mutants first. We have to make it all make sense. So,
I mean, 2020 has been a bit of an odd. Well, it's been a bit of an odd one, full stop. It's been a bit of an odd one for Marvel, I think, because usually, like, you know, every single time we kind of know, you know, this Marvel film's coming at this point. This is going to lead to this. This is the big event. This is, you know, all the kind of lead up and stuff to that. And at the moment, it's a little bit like, okay, we know a few things that are coming. We know a few things that are wrapping things up, but it's kind of like, you know, where are we going? You know, where are we going here with the Marvel stuff? And I know, like,
we know where they're going. We know the map. We've got like the next whatever. We know that they've got whatever years ahead planned. It's just that everything's just sat in a storage somewhere, just waiting for it all to come out. The Disney Plus shows, the films, we're just waiting.
And I think that's possibly what it is. Like, I think the actual Disney Plus shows are going to have a lot more linking to the films than we kind of first think, because they are really going to be the glue that kind of joins a lot of this stuff there together. It's going to fill in all the little gaps and all that kind of stuff there, basically. And it's I was thinking about this before, and I actually read this on a forum that I go to there. it was talking about how all the Star Wars stuff, whenever you criticize anything to do with Last Jedi or anything like that, people are like, oh yeah, you got to read the novels. You got to read the novels that come out, right? Because they fill in all the gaps and stuff like that. And it's like, well, no, I don't really want to do that. I want to just watch the films, right?
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that Marvel always do is because they learn from certain things. They probably learned from that and thought, wait a second, people don't want to read the novels, right? But we can fill in all the gaps from these TV shows, and all the TV shows will basically be like, okay, well, this links together like this event happened here, all of that kind of stuff. It answers all the little questions and stuff like that. So you can still just watch the movies, but if you want all of that extra background stuff, you can go and, you know, watch all those things, and everything's going to link together. So
the content.
Yeah. So their plan is basically to get all of that there together. But man, I tell you, one of the things there at Disney headquarters, man, they must be kicking themselves, because literally, like, probably a few weeks before everybody got locked down, they're like, get this Disney Plus at like cut price, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, damn, man, if they kept it at normal price, the people would still be signing up like crazy, but there would have been so much more money coming in, man. It would have just been crazy. But
only revenue getting in it at the moment, so
yeah, that is true. But the thing is this, right? If you look at certain things like, I don't know if you've seen, there's like these viral videos going because drive-through McDonald's are like reopened in UK and stuff. And you see, like, when these things reopen, there are just queues like crazy, man. When those Disney parks reopen, they are going to be rammed. They're going to be so many people just going crazy. That's why I think things like Chris Nolan is like, I'm still releasing Tenet in August, because he's gambling that basically everybody's going to be like,
I read that Warner Brothers says that 80% of cinemas have to be open in order for them to release Tenet. 80%.
80% worldwide, you mean? 80% like everywhere?
I think just in America, but could apply everywhere else.
80% is a hard number, man, to get to, you know what I mean? Because it's like, in effect, what you're saying is that every state in America is like a country, right? So you're literally talking like every 50 countries, right? And getting them all together to say, let's open at this time or whatever, man. Some of the, it's like, from my industry, they're saying to us, you can't use aircon, right? Because aircon is, you can bring in the air from outside, but you're still going to have recycled air going into the place, and that's a really good way of kind of like spreading stuff. Now that's okay if you're living in a cold area, but if you're living in a warm area, like you got cinema in Texas or something, and you're like, oh, you can't use aircon, kind of in trouble then, you know what I mean?
What that? I never what that. None of the people would be sitting there just on towels.
Exactly, like 3-4 seats apart, and it's just going to be like, the thing is, some of these films, right, you got to see, like, I keep bringing this horrendous film up, but like Fast and Furious and like, these event kind of films.
You like those films. The amount of times you talk about them, you must like them. You must secretly love them.
You know what? I like the audience environment and participation there, right? It's like what's the second Star Wars film? The really bad one. What was it called? Not Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones. Yeah, Attack of the Clones, right? So when I was a student down in Devon, right, and basically we went to go and see Attack of the Clones premiere, right, when it came out, right, and because we're like, it's gonna have like, it's gonna be cool, So we went to go and watch it, right, and I'm telling you, people were like oohing and ahhing and like, yeah, go on Yoda and stuff like that, and it's like, I've watched back the film and it's horrendous, right? The film is horrendous, right? But it was like that environment was like, wow, I'm watching the best film I've ever seen.
Same thing happened with like the second Transformers movie when I went to see it. Garbage movie. I think this is one where they had like ancient gods and they've been around since the pyramids and all that.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I remember.
But people were like, when Optimus Prime had the rocket launches on his back and he starts flying, people were like whooping and screaming and jumping up and going, yeah, go get him, Optimus. And I was like, It was hilarious. It made the whole thing way better. I have to admit.
Yeah. It definitely makes it like crazy better. 'Cause that's what happened on the last Fast and Furious. Like, you know, me and Simon went to see it, and people were just going nuts, man. It was just like there was one part. I kid you not, man. This woman stood up, yeah, and she's like, "Go on, Dom." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What?" It's just ridiculous, man. So yeah, it was just it's just one of those things. Like some of these films, you need an event kind of like, you know, there to kind of see and stuff like that. And I guess Tenet is one of them, because it's gonna be Tenet. You have to see in the cinema, man, because it is gonna be some crazy, you know, like crazy, like visceral kind of.
It does look like a head F, man. It just looks crazy looking at the trailer. Just getting my head around the whole inversion time flip thing. It's like, how are they going to actually explain this in the movie? I can't wait.
I've got this little trick now that I do with trailers, right? Because I've kind of realized when you go into a film without watching the trailer, it makes it like way better a lot of the time.
Generally, yeah.
So I've got this thing, like when these trailers are coming out, I'll watch them on YouTube at 2x speed. Right, so it's kind of just like you just watch it and it's like, okay, yeah, I kind of get what's going on, and you know, you kind of like pick up certain things, but it's not as if it's gonna like ruin the film or anything there for you. You know what I mean?
Respectful to the editor of the trailers are an art form within themselves. The way
that is true.
Together, the music, you have to appreciate that hard work that goes into that, and you just slapping them in the face by just watching it. Come on.
Well, the guys who cut the Suicide Squad's trailer should have won an Oscar, man, for like, you know, because that trailer was amazing. Just like absolutely.
I know we're gonna get to the whole Snyder Cut thing, but do you think it's only a matter of time before we start getting? I think I've always started seeing it released to David Ayer Cut.
Oh, mate, we'll talk about that because stuff's been happening today, last night. David Ayer's getting involved. We'll get into all of that mission, man. We'll get into all of that mission. And in fact, actually, that is the next topic.
Good.
That is the next topic, man. So yeah, so guys, you probably already know the Snyder Cut is going to be released, or if we call it by its proper name, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Right now. Pardon?
I hate DC. I don't hate them, but I don't like them either. It's like they're just meh. But even I'm excited to see this. Like I just can't wait. I can't wait.
The thing is, it's interesting, man. There's a lot of YouTubers who have literally hated on Snyder stuff, like everything, like ripping it to shreds, right? And then when this announcement comes out, they're like, "Yeah, I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped for the cut. Yeah, I'm hyped for the." It's like you've been ripping him for years, yeah. And then suddenly you're like hyped for the cut, man. It's like it's weird. I mean, the kind of thing is, if I see something and I don't like it, or I don't want to see it, or I cuss it or whatever, I just avoid it, man. I just kind of think, okay, well, I'm not going to see it. I'm just, you know, I'm not gonna bother. But it's weird on this. It's like people who are like, oh yeah, cussing it, even now, just cussing it and ripping it. But like, yeah, I'm still gonna see it. It's like, why? Why would you want to like see it if you don't like it in the first place? You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, why are you excited for this, man? Before I fanboy all over this.
Because I've always, as much as Zack Snyder in general as a director, I've always been a bit ho-hum. You know, as a former art student, I appreciate aesthetics. I appreciate the cinematography and how the scenes are choreographed, especially the action scenes. And Snyder is a master at those scenes. And those are always great in his films. It's the other stuff that connects that is not great. The character stuff he's never been good at. But I can still have fun with the aesthetics. Like Sucker Punch, I can still watch Sucker Punch. It's a garbage movie. It's terrible. Criminally bad. But the action is just, wow, that train sequence where they're fighting robots. Like, damn, it's just too cool. So I'm excited for that. But this is basically like a whole new film. It's going to be, 4 hours cut in 2 halves?
Well, this is the thing. Like, there's two things that they're saying. It's either going to be a 4-hour film, completely, or they're saying that it's going to be 6 35-minute episodes. Right, so they're going to make it into like a series where it's like 35-minute episodes at a time, and they're wondering which is the best way to kind of do it. So it'll be more like a event kind of thing when it comes out. You see,
I don't know if I want that. I'd rather the 2-hour, 2-part movie.
Yeah,
movies. I think that works better. But yeah, it's basically a whole new Justice League movie, something which we were never going to get within the next decade, because that was going to be done with now. Because I think he was saying in that whole Superman thing that the Justice League movie that came out only had a third.
Yeah, 1/5 of what he'd made.
Yeah.
So because basically people were talking in that to him, or when he did the other talk, he did his Batman v Superman thing, which I finally got to watch. He was talking about stuff that was in Justice League and stuff that wasn't, right? So when you're talking about the film there itself, that the first scene where you see Superman and he's on the cell phone and stuff, that's not in his cut, right? Then you go into the next scene where it's like Batman on the roof with the parademon. That whole scene is not in his, right? So we're already 15 minutes in, and none of that stuff has got anything to do with him. Then we're going on to the Wonder Woman bit, right? And the Wonder Woman bit is like the only bit that is in his is like the fight scene that Wonder Woman has. Everything after that is not in there, right? Then we're getting to all the stuff where you've got Superman being resurrected and stuff like that, and the team basically, like from the photos he's showing, like the team splits apart because they don't really want to resurrect Superman, but then they do. All of that stuff, that dark side story, right, where Wonder Woman tells that story about Darkseid, about Uxas, basically, that's a 15-minute action scene that they condensed into 2 minutes, right? So this is the thing where people say, oh, it's not that different. Mate, literally the entire film, the whole narrative of it is completely different. And the thing is, the one thing that he said, which the one person who I'm most glad for that this has happened is actually not Zack Snyder or the fans or anyone. It's Ray Fisher, the guy who played Cyborg.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. He's the one that's gotten the worst end of this. Because he needed it most. Everyone else was already semi-established in some way or another. This was his break. And so much of what he did was just left on the cutting room floor, which now will be salvaged. And I feel so much more happy for that guy.
And he's a nice guy. He's such a nice guy as well. And he's humble, and he thought, this is my big break, whatever. And from what Zach was saying on that BVS thing, like basically like Cyborg is the heart of the film. So pretty much, the first film, Man of Steel, was a Superman film. Second one is a Batman film. Third one, this is a Cyborg film, right? All the other characters are additional to Cyborg. So pretty much most of the thing is Cyborg. Right, and him being created, him going into the mother box, him instructing Barry. It is a Cyborg film, so I am looking forward to that. But at the end, obviously, that's going to be an issue because it's going to be like we want the other parts there to it, right? And this is where you start dropping down rabbit holes and going crazy because AT&T, their Twitter handle and stuff like that has been tweeting out some stuff, and you're just like, don't play me like this, man. Do not play with my emotions like this. So basically, like, or just like tweeting out like Ben Affleck, because Ben Affleck's been like, oh, he made a whole video saying like, oh, I can't wait to see Zach's cut, all this kind of stuff.
You never get him back though, man. Come on, he established that.
That's the thing. AT&T. So AT&T, their Twitter handle is like, basically, so somebody posted up like, oh, Ben Affleck, oh, the greatest Batman, whatever, and they're like tweeting underneath saying anything can happen, right, about him coming and stuff like that. It's like, don't play with the emotions like that. And then we've got they're also retweeting stuff by David Ayer. So David Ayer's getting into this. He's tweeting out stuff like his script for Joker. He's putting out the photos of like the Joker story and blah blah, and he's putting out like you know, half of the story and stuff like that, and saying like how Steppenwolf was the main bad guy, how they were basically like
for Suicide Squad, it was Steppenwolf was the
yeah.
main.
Yeah, so Steppenwolf was controlling Enchantress, and she basically had a mother box. You know, she made that weird ass thing in the portal or whatever. He was basically controlling her through a mother box. She was opening up a mother box to allow the force of Apocalypse to come in. And those guys, those weird ass creatures that she kind of creates and they end up fighting, they were actually parademons, right? So they were parademons that they were fighting and stuff. This is like,
no, and I hated Suicide Squad with a passion, but that would have been so
that was the worst part of it. Those faceless like goo monsters or whatever the hell they were, and it's just like, man, just oh my god, what are you doing at Warner Brothers, man?
Saying how much of his stuff was left cut out. He kind of stuff that he was saying was almost its own movie. Like,
yeah, he's like he's shot the equivalent of 40 minutes. If it was edited, it would have been 40 minutes of footage. And this is the thing, like when I look at the marketing for this film, the marketing was Joker based, right? You know, they even had like on the Suicide Squad, on the poster, it had the Joker, it had the symbol for the Joker, everything. And it's like he's in the film and he's hardly in it. He's literally hardly in it, right? And it's just like, this is the thing. They're not really very confident in themselves, right? And I don't know whether it's just them as a people or whether they're just like, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy comes out, they watch it and they're like, oh my god, we need to make it like this. Let's just add music here, a random song. I mean, they don't seem to understand that the reason why that music was in there is that's what Star-Lord was listening to on his Walkman.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of that music being in there. That doesn't mean you have random songs every 2 seconds in Suicide Squad, which makes no freaking sense. So AT&T are tweeting about the Ayer Cut now, the official AT&T thing. And I guess it kind of matters. I would say, okay.
I was going to say, that script never leaked out, did it? The original Suicide Squad script.
No, but that's why, like, you know that thing that I sent you where he's writing like the Joker treatment and stuff like that. All these kind of things, all these little rumors and stuff like that. Like basically like, oh, he had 3 days to write it and they locked him in a hotel and blah, blah. He's like answering all these things now. And he's just like, this is like internet rumor bullshit, basically, you know, and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, you can tell like what happened was, they were really scared at the critical reaction of BVS, right? Because they released the wrong one. They should have released the bloody Ultimate Edition. Some people may not have still liked it, but it's better. It's way better. In fact, I watched it day before yesterday as soon as I heard this Snyder thing. But basically, like, because of that, they were like, oh my god, we cannot now carry on from that and make Suicide Squad part of it and then kind of do it. And it kind of puts pay to all this idea that they didn't have an idea. They didn't want to link stuff there together. They did. They wanted to do it. The filmmakers were there. They were already kind of planning it. But then Warner Brothers just like, sod this, man. We're just cutting it down and it's done. And that's the big problem. The big problem is where it leaves everything else, right? Because then it's like, I don't know, you know, there's, you know, that guy who I sent you a thing about a while back about he was giving Spiderman rumors. Yeah, so this guy, a lot of the time when he does rumors, his rumors turn out to be true, right? Pretty much 90% of them end up being true. That's why I sent you the Spider-Man stuff. He's put out some more rumors there now that basically, and this was before any of the Snyder Cut announcements or anything like that. It was about 3-4 weeks ago, and I was having arguments about it on one of the DC forums on Facebook, saying, oh, you know, this guy is just talking rubbish or whatever. But they were saying like, oh, you know, they're scrapping the Supergirl movie and they're talking about having a new Superman movie and then talks with Cavill and all this kind of stuff there as well. And I was just like, it's garbage, basically, right? And then you kind of see this and you think, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, man. So there could be anything going on. They could be talking to him. They could not. I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, it's just exciting times for me. But I know at the same time, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to gonna cuss it when it comes out. You know what I mean? So
I still think it's going to get torn apart when it comes out, because I don't think it can ever live up to this hype that people have already kind of got in ahead of what this movie is going to be. But I don't care. I still want, just give me the aesthetics of it. I can still enjoy that. You know, it may not be, I'll still have my gripes of how he deals with characters and logical decision making between certain events that happen. I'll be like, why did that character do that? It makes no sense when they were just doing this or saying that. Like, he always has that in his films, but it's going to be cool. Like you said, that flashback with the war and the old gods and all that shit, that's just going to be so fun. If that's going to be like 15 minutes, that's going to be amazing.
yeah, because you know, there's these bodybuilders. They keep like posting up, like saying, you know, I was Ares and I was Zeus and I was whatever, and they're showing pictures of themselves like on set, right? And they were like, yeah, we had a thing where we were fighting against Steppenwolf and Yuxas, and none of that is in there. We just got a voiceover of Gal Gadot kind of, you know, doing all that kind of stuff. So that is obviously going to be there, which is going to be crazy.
Like that Zach knows that superheroes need to look like superheroes. I'm one of those. Don't get me wrong. I'm one of those. Like, even as a kid, as a wrestling fan, I like the wrestlers that were probably juiced to the gills on all steroids because I wanted them to look like superheroes. I don't want them to reflect me.
Yeah.
I want them to look like superheroes. And then we got what we haven't chatted about yet from last week, though, Robert Pattinson saying he doesn't want to work out because I can't be asked.
He can't be asked, basically. Yeah. So that we're actually coming to that in a bit with the what's his name, with Jeffrey Wright's comments on the Batman, which actually came out just a few hours ago. So that really is, we're usually late to the news, right? This is like contemporary news stuff, man. So yeah, I mean,
no, we have to wait until next year for this.
It's long, man. It is freaking long. But next year, mate, honestly,
we got another Corona 20 by that point.
Yeah, but then it'll be on HBO Max, mate. So it's all just VR and stuff they got to do. So it's not, you know, they just kind of can sort it out that way.
If they listen to this, chant this whole movement originally, then they would have started doing this from the end of last year. That means we could have been watching it now.
Yes, yeah, right in this kind of time. And they should have, if they released it now, it would make crazy numbers, man, because there'll be like so many people watching it because everybody's at home.
Yep.
They've got nothing else to do. Yep. And you kind of, you know, you can see some of these films that come on Netflix, which are basically like just, you know, which really would be B movies in reality, but people just rinsing. Then obviously this kind of thing, people will be watching like crazy. But it's interesting what.
As a slight diversion, did you see the trailer for Oh God?
Which is that Charlize Theron?
Yeah, it's based on the Image comic.
Yeah, I saw that. Is interesting, man. I kind of the thing is, I've got this thing about people not just looking the part, but being able to like do the part kind of thing. Yeah. One thing I've always seen about Charlize is that she can actually do the action stuff. Yeah. Right? She can fight, she can kick. It actually looks like,
because she's a ballet dancer, isn't it?
Yeah, it actually looks like when you're doing a kick, it's going to hurt somebody. Can you remember Charlie's Angels? Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, the second one. You ever see that? Yeah.
I just watched the first one. Literally 10 minutes before this. I don't know why. I just had
Oh my God. Okay, so
I don't know why.
So some of the stuff, I think the second one, because I think it just came out just after Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and that wire work, which has been going on in Hong Kong.
And the first one, because that's always the thing that's got me about that. It's the same thing. They're floating around, doing little spin things, and it just looks so unimpactful.
And it's just like, okay, well, if you're going to hit like that, it just doesn't look like there's any force in it.
Yeah,
but then the guy goes flying off into God knows where, you know what I mean? Because he's been smacked. And it's just like, it just looks horrible. It looks horrible. And I think that's the one thing. It's really difficult to get somebody to do impactful moves, which is why, like, and I'm going to bring it back to Fast and Furious again. One of the fights, which is between Michelle Rodriguez and Gina Carano. Gina Carano is an actual MMA fighter. is a fantastic fight because she knows how to make it look like you're getting beaten the crap out of, right? And it actually does look decent. So it's that is interesting. So I think one thing, I think Charlie's underrated in that kind of way, that she can actually make it look like you're getting hit, as opposed to some of these other ones. But yeah, what is that coming on? Is that theatrical or is that Netflix or
Netflix? About a month's time, yeah.
So that will do good numbers, man, because everybody's still going to be at home. You know what I mean? So that is a thing. So going from DC, we wanted to go back to Marvel, but for some reason Marvel not releasing much news. So we kind of have to just for Ed's, because I know we're mates. So I just want to kind of make it easy on him. I'm separating Sony and Marvel apart, right? So we're going. So we're now going to be talking about Sony rather than Marvel, and apparently there's two things basically. We've got the S.J. Clarkson apparently is doing a Madame Web. Going to be potentially directing a Madame Web film for Sony, and we've also got another character called Jackpot, and they've already got a writer that is attached to making that film there for Sony. Now, just before, because I know who Madame Web is, but I have no idea who Jackpot is. It's a very obscure character that's come like 2007, so it's very new.
Yeah, but no familiar.
Yeah, so but just before we kind of talk about it, the guy who is writing Jackpot is the guy who also wrote Arrow
and Flash,
right? And Flash. So this is the kind of thing. If
Sony, man, they just don't get it. They don't learn. They just don't learn. They just don't get. Sony.
Do you know, say for example, if you've got somebody who's written like amazing screenplays or whatever, right? And it's like, this guy's the don for writing screenplays. Let's get this person in, right? And then it's like, okay, I'm the guy who wrote Arrow and Flash. You see my work on TV, do you want me to come in and write your movie? And it's just like, how do these people who never do well just get this opportunity?
I swear, it has to be their agents represent successful writers as well as garbage writers. And they probably negotiate that, you want to get my next script from my successful, and then I have this other guy, he's busy right now, but maybe have a look at this guy, and then once, he's available, then you can actually bring it. Must be something like that. That's the only way. It doesn't make sense how these terrible writers constantly and directors just get these movies.
It seems like it's mediocrity, right? So if you're not great and you're not rubbish, you're just mediocre.
Just they are rubbish. They're not even in the movie. They are rubbish.
I'm trying to be like, yeah, they're.
It's weird that you're saying that Jackpot's new character that's been around since 2007. So why does that character automatically fall under the Spider-Man universe rights thing? Like, when it's a newer character, why does it automatically still go to Sony?
I have no idea, because that basically, if that kind of sets a precedent, right? If you're going to create any character, if Marvel decide let's going to bring another character in the Amazing Spider-Man comic book, Sony can just take it and make a film out of it.
Yeah, why would you even? I guess 2007, that was right before they really got the wheels going on their whole universe. But still, from now on, you just don't introduce no characters in the side Spider-Man movie. Just don't bother feed that universe.
And it just perplexes me that they'd actually bring a film of a character that nobody knows. Like, literally no one knows who this bloody character is. It's just like,
her power set is similar to like a Jessica Jones. She's just strong, hyper abilities, but that's it. Just generic. And she's, I forget what she has a regular life doing something or other, but she's a mum. So they're going to try and it's going to be one of those sort of stories. Balancing mother.
Oh no. Yeah. Are they going to do that? They're going to do like, got to feed the baby and then also go out and,
probably there's just to deal with dating.
Oh no. I'm just thinking how bad this is gonna be before I'm even thinking about it, man. It's like do you know sometimes they talk about a character that they're doing, and my mind, you know, I didn't really have many Marvel comics after about say 10 years old. It was all DC after that.
Yeah,
But
man.
I used to watch a lot of the shows. So one of the shows was obviously Spider-Man. I used to love Spider-Man. But one of the favorite kind of parts of it was when they had Madame Web and the Beyonder, and then Spider-Man. He brought all those characters in. He brought in Iron Man and Storm and all that kind of stuff. And they had this like galactic kind of battle kind of thing, and that was so awesome. And that's what I remember Madame Web kind of from, basically, right? And then it's like when you see Sony's going to make a Madame Web film, you just think it's going to be nothing like that, is it? It's just going to be.
No. I just don't trust them to do anything. I'm still not completely optimistic for whatever they've got planned for Venom 2. Like, I just don't. Even though Venom was bearable, wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. It was just kind of there in the middle where it was like, okay, I'm not mad that I saw it. But,
Well, I've seen Venom again recently, and I'm 100% convinced it was a fluke. Right? Like literally, it wasn't planned. It was like because I'm watching it and I'm thinking, okay, do you know, for some people they could watch this and think this is not funny at all, and other people are just like laughing their heads off, right? And I can't imagine that they planned a lot of this kind of stuff. Like literally, just like some of the jokes really hit, and other ones are just like, okay, this is a little bit, you know, not quite right or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just I'm 100% convinced they just somehow fluked it, and it just doesn't, you know, it's got nothing to do with any kind of creative skill at Sony or anything like that. But yeah, are you excited for a Madame Web and Thingy film?
Unless they strike a deal with Marvel to have them produce it, if that's not going to happen, then no, I've got no faith for whatever they do on their own.
So
you're saying that was a fluke with Venom. I think Into the Spider-Verse was a fluke that they somehow managed to make a good film out of that. Because I don't know if they could do it again.
I mean, how much influence did they have on that film, though? That's the thing. Whenever I look at these kind of things, I think how much involvement did Amy Pascal have in this, right, compared to the other kind of stuff? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's very difficult. There's very few like very gifted directors, right, and very gifted script writers out there. When I think of the ones that are out there now, I think of Quentin, I think of Christopher Nolan, even people like Steven Spielberg. If you watch like you know, Ready Player One, it's like, okay, it's good, but he's kind of lost his magic, you know what I mean, that he had, right? And he is like a grade A kind of director. You look at somebody like James Cameron, used to be like amazing, and it's like, oh, he's not quite what he was there now. So it's very difficult to get that kind of thing. And if you put in these directors who are basically, right, you're going to end up getting something terrible. And they're really scared of getting in somebody who will push the envelope, which brings us on to the next next thing, which is Josh Trank, right?
Ooh.
Okay.
But the thing is, he should have been one of those directors that pushed, but he's admitted that it was too big a project for him. Like, he was too green, too inexperienced to handle something that big off the Chronicle.
So when this came out, obviously we had a huge conversation on the cast there a couple of years ago, me and Ash, about this. So as a Marvel fan, right, if somebody took the Fantastic Four property and turned it into the way that he was trying to turn it into, this body horror, David Cronenberg style-y kind of film, and it was left to go like the same thing, like, you know, you wake up the next day and your arms extending over the place, or you've got all these scales over your body. What's your thought process of that? Do you think, okay, that's all right, or do you just like reject it?
Because Fantastic Four have never been they've never been one of my favorites, as you know, comic books go. So that pitch of the body horror thing I liked because it was different and it made sense, because you would. I like people who react logically. I don't want someone to wake up suddenly, have these abilities and be like, oh, cool, that's all good. Like, yeah. No, you should be like, what the? your life is over. Especially the Thing. Like, he should just be the most mentally destroyed person of waking up looking the way he looks. So yeah, that was a very cool idea. But
yeah, and like imagine if you woke up, your body's on fire. Like literally it's on
exactly.
fire, man. You would be crapping. You wouldn't be like, oh, okay, I can use this fire and fly. You'd be
Screaming,
like,
you stumbling around and setting fire to everything around you, and it just like, yeah,
yeah,
give us that. That would have been wicked. Or to be honest, it would have actually worked better as with that concept. It would have worked better as like a limited series because you kind of need more space to deal with the psychological impact it would have on these characters and their lives.
and that's kind of the thing. Like when you see like what Josh Trank was saying and stuff, that was obviously his idea. And what initially he'd pitched to Fox was Chronicle 2, right? And it was like, this is basically what it would be. You'd have more people who end up with this kind of thing, and they were like, okay, well, why didn't you do Fantastic Four? And then he inputted all of that into that, right? And it's interesting that you're saying that, because when I was saying the same thing to Ash a couple of years or so or whatever, he's like, nah, mate, I would never ever want to see Fantastic Four in that light. Fantastic Four should be this one way. And I'm like, yeah, but we've kind of seen that on the cartoons and the things and stuff like that. So, you know, what if he went this kind of way? And he's like, no way. So it's interesting because obviously there's going to be those groups, two groups of people in the studio as well, right? There's some people going to be like, oh, this is going to be really kind of out there kind of thing. Yeah. And other people are just going to be like, no, we want it like a, you know, crowd pleaser kind of thing. You know what I mean?
They did that with the two films before, and they weren't really massively successful. They didn't really work either. And the film that we got definitely wasn't on either end of the scale. It was this other abomination.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, I would have also liked to see that body horror kind of thing, because it's just like, man, I want to see like some of these guys really turning to like the people who get powers are usually the heroes, right? But I want to see like a hero get powers and then just them just going screwed, which is why I liked, for all its problems, I like the original, not the original, the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk, because he was just like, I can't cope with these powers, man. I've got to like isolate myself, chip somewhere else, all this kind of stuff. All that stuff with Abomination and stuff was actually an abomination at the end, but the concept of it was good, and I like that kind of idea, because you know, it's something that we haven't seen. But yeah, I mean, this is what Josh Trank saying. People are saying like, oh, should we get the Josh Trank cut released? Because when he actually said about Fantastic Four, he's like, oh, I've got a cut that you're never going to see, and it's amazing, and blah blah blah. And he's actually tweeted saying there's no need to release this ever. So
very things so, weren't that great often.
Yeah, so he is not campaigning for that at all, man. But it's just like yeah, Josh Trank is an odd character, and he's got so many personal demons that it's like you can't really trust him with something like that there anyway. So let's go on something I saw today, which I thought was really interesting, right? So on PlayStation, on the PS4, we've got Batman VR, right? And if you're a Batman fan, flipping heck, man, you put the things on and you are Batman in the Arkham universe. There is in development Iron Man VR, right? So you put this thing on and you are flying as Iron Man, and you can, you know, get people that repulse.
Just with all the computer right in there in your face with all the holographic interface. That'd be cool.
Dude, I'm, as you know, I'm a DC fan. I'm so excited to play something like that. Like literally flying through the air, hitting people with repulsor blasts, you know, being talked to in your head by Jarvis. And oh my God, that would just be so absolutely amazing, man. Especially if there was like, if they had, like they have in some places, they have loads of people doing the VR. If you had like 4 people, one person's War Machine, one person's Iron Man, one person this, and you're all going on a mission there together. Oh my goodness, it will be so absolutely amazing. So there's a trailer of that apparently coming out in the next week or so, which you know, we should need to check out and stuff, man. So we'll go to our last bit of news here, which is a weird one because there was a bit of news from last week, but we didn't cast last week because I've been fasting and I'm just I'm just too tired in the evenings. But basically, like there's been two things that have been come out about the Batman. So we had stuff from Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson was talking about how he did an interview for GQ, right? And he's basically talking about how like he was given all this stuff by his trainer, and his trainer was telling him like, you know, you need to train and need to do this, and we give you some dumbbells and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, I haven't bothered, because basically what it is these guys in the 70s like James Dean and stuff like that, they never did anything, and I don't want to set a precedent that this is the way that all superheroes.
James Dean wasn't Batman. No.
Do you know what? We don't need to say anymore because you just said exactly what needs to have been said. You know what I mean?
Excuses for the fact that he's lazy. The reason why I know this is, okay, don't hold this against me, but yes, I've seen the Twilight movies. And even during that process of him being a vampire and having to have his shirt off in certain scenes, there was a whole issue that he hated working out. Like, it was a big thing that he just didn't want to do it. But because his other co-star, who was like 17 in the first film that he was in, and when he was supposed to be replaced in the next film by another guy who was like a couple of years older in order to be jacked and big to be this werewolf dude. But this little 17-year-old kid was like, no, I want to keep my job. So he just trained his ass off and got pumped. And he kind of made him look back. So he had to make an effort there. But it was always been this thing that he hates physical activities. It's one of them posh kids that just doesn't want to do anything. So he's just making an excuse.
Yeah.
It's in his personality. Just admit it. If you don't want to do it, then just be real about it. Don't just say that you don't want to.
And that's the thing. Like, basically, you've got a character who is meant to be Olympic athlete level, right? So, you know, he's like the gymnastic skill and the people that he's taking on, right? Okay, so he can beat Nightwing in a fight, right? Okay, so Nightwing is an Olympic level gymnast, right? So he can beat him because the gymnastics is better than Nightwing. His fighting is basically, he's trained in like multiple martial arts styles, right, by the best martial artists in the world. You see a proper martial artist, they look like Scott Adkins, right? They look like, you know, they look like that because they know that you can do a massive kick or massive punch or whatever, and that is the kind of thing. Now, this is the thing that annoys me, because when I see all the stuff that has come out of the Batman so far, we haven't had, and I'm you know, some fans are going to get annoyed by this, but we haven't had the true character, right? We haven't seen that, you know, that prime Batman in like 2 or 3 films ever, right? So what I don't understand is every single time a director comes, oh, I'm doing my own take, mate, give me the proper character first, okay? Then once you've got the proper character, you can do whatever take you want, because we've seen that main character, right? We've seen that guy. He's like, oh, you know, we don't want to like follow the comic books. It's like, okay, well, that's fine, but none of the films have followed the comic books properly yet. So why don't you do one that actually does follow it, so we can actually say, okay, this is the character that we've known and we've seen, and all that kind of stuff. Even the stuff that Jeffrey Wright was saying there today was kind of worried me a little bit about what he's saying about it, that basically they're going to do something that is very different to anything that you've ever seen. He's like, oh, this is the biggest change that the character's ever seen since the 40s, right? And I'm like,
this is gonna barely. This is barely gonna be Batman. Besides having pointy ears.
Yeah, and basically like the car. Batman's created the car. He got like a muscle car, and he's like modified it and all this kind of stuff, which is kind of okay. But it's like, this is, yeah, you're right. This is very barely like it's kind of like Joker, right? You draw the people in because it says Joker on the screen, but actually it's not really Joker, right? And it's like this: you draw the people in, dumb people like me who are obsessed, right? Basically go in there, we see the side, we're like, oh, Batman, okay, let's go and see it, go and watch it. And it's like, then what's going to happen is there's going to be video upon video on YouTube and blogs and all this kind of stuff by DC fans defending the position that what we saw on the screen is what we've seen in the comic books, when actually it's massively different, like hugely different. And you know, this I don't understand it, because first show us the main guy, then show us the other guys. Then that's fine. You can do whatever the hell you want after that. You know what I mean? But because they haven't done it, it's like you can't just keep doing your own thing. You know, I don't know. It's just yeah. It's like you know when I'm ordering a new I've ordered this new Batman from the Justice League War a cowl, right, for display. And I was looking at it, and the guys who were making it was showing me the photos of it being made and stuff. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, this is like 100 times better than like Pattinson's cowl, right? It's like literally like it
Dude,
looks amazing. Like
when I watch like cosplay, people 3D printing their own Arkham Knight batsuit from the game, it just looks so amazing. I'm thinking, why is it so much better than what I'm seeing in half of these films? The only one I'd make an exception for is the Snyder's Batman. I thought that looked great. I love that suit. All the suits actually that he had. But yeah, besides that, yeah, they're nothing like that. It's crazy. I don't get it.
and that's the other issue as well. Like you know, there was a big thing in between BVS and Justice League that they dropped Ironhead Studios, who are the ones who make all the like the badass costumes basically. So they dropped them and they went to a cheaper one, and obviously all the suits were not as good, the stuff that they made in Justice League, and they're not using Ironhead Studios for this one there either. So so I don't know, man. It's just like how can I get excited over this?
Yeah.
Until somebody says something that pings off in my brain. Even when it's like Colin Farrell did an interview, he's like, yeah, I'm barely in it. Okay, so Penguin's barely in this. Okay, fine. You're telling me Penguin's barely in this. You're telling me it's not really Batman. We got a skinny guy who's like bloody, who's like an actor from the 70s, and it's all detective stuff. So there's hardly any action in it, and it's different than anything that we've ever seen since the 40s. So basically, you're telling me that every single one of these comic books behind me is not like any one of those. How can you get me excited for this, right?
Who's the main antagonist in this film? Is it going to be Catwoman?
I don't know, because obviously there was the scenes that were coming out in Scotland where they were both on the motorbikes together. So you had Batman and Catwoman, and they're both on the things there. So I don't know. I guess it may just be that he's fighting general crime, and then these supervillains start coming up and stuff like that.
By doing that, we could end up with a Superman Returns type scenario where you want Superman to face someone who he can physically engage with, but not an island that he's going to fly around with. Like with Batman,
that's true.
Have a proper villain, not just a pickpocket or a drug dealer.
Well, that's the thing. Arpats is not going to be engaging with anybody physically. He's going to get his backside kicked by literally every single character out there, apart from maybe the Mad Hatter. I guess that's probably the only one that he could fight against. But yeah, they need to tell me something that I'm interested in to want to see this, because of course, like I said, it's a Batman film. You know, Batman fans are going to be there day one, but it's I'm less excited for this than I am for Suicide Squad or even Black Adam. You know, it's just like it doesn't really pique my interest as much until
when they were doing Justice League, when Snyder stepped down, did they change the composer or did they keep the same one?
Yes, they did.
They changed it.
So the original composer was Junkie XL, who basically did Hans Zimmer. Him and Hans Zimmer did Man of Steel, and Junkie XL did BVS there as well with Hans Zimmer. And then they went and got Danny Elfman for Justice League, and he basically used a remix of the Avengers theme.
No, if Junkie XL actually completed his score, or it was just thrown out.
Well, that's the thing. That's what Zach was saying on his on the talk, was that basically it's going to have a whole new score on it.
I love Junkie XL. That's going to be cool as well.
So I think Junkie he did Mad Max as well, right? And it was like a cool kind of thing and stuff like that. People have always asked him, did you finish your score and things like that, and he's always kind of skirted around it. He's never given an answer here or there, so I'd guess he's probably done treatments there for it. Whether he's actually finished it or not is another scenario. So yeah, just kind of have to see, but it's going to have a whole new score, tons of new stuff, and yeah, I mean, if you don't like it, don't watch it. If you do like it, then of course, then bloody watch it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just have to see, man. And the last thing that I would say is, if you are a DC fan and you love DC and you like Zack Snyder, then pay for that stuff, man. Don't just go and pirate that crap. You know, leave that to the Marvel boys. They can because then otherwise, if they don't see that this is a financial success, you're never going to see anything like that coming out there again. So guys,
then you're gonna have to support this one.
Pardon? The Ayer Cut, yeah, exactly. You want
to have to support that one, definitely.
Yeah. So guys, we had loads of messages on our Facebook page, like loads on Snyder Cut, Batwoman, stuff like that. I'm still going through them. There are lots. I mean, on one of them, there's like over 200 messages on there. So, I'm going to pick out the good ones, and then I will share the screen with Eds on next week's, so we can go through.
Do like a little bonus episode where we just go through questions. Like a short.
Well, we could do, yeah. I mean, because it's not questions, like comments on, like, you know, on Batwoman, or comments on Snyder, or comments on Air, or whatever. And I love reading those because they're so polarized, right? Some people are just like, DC fans always cussing everything, you know, they hate Batwoman, and, you know, blah blah blah. And then another guy's going, Batwoman's absolute trash. Another person like, oh, this is the best series I've ever seen. Another person like, oh, you guys hate all women, blah blah blah. Just funny reading through all the various comments that people put about these kind of things. So yeah, we'll go through those there, but there is loads. There is a ridiculous amount to kind of go through. So I'll snippet those and then bloody show those to Eds there next time, so to get a live reaction. So guys, if you wanna catch hold of us, you can go to our website, which is dcvsmarvelpodcast.com. We also have a YouTube channel, which is Voltron Network. If you want to see 2 words, yeah. And basically just go down, see the blue background with the red V, that is us. It has all of our shows on it. It has all of the other shows talking about movies and stuff like that.
You got little bonus episodes of us just analyzing different movie sequel, various remakes and things. We've got Wrestling Ruckus has come back.
I saw that. I had an alert on the on my YouTube, and I was like, wait a second, Ed's done like a live thing of Wrestling Ruckus, man.
The whole genre, not just WWE. Then yep, come watch it, man.
Yeah, and yeah, basically, like, all of our stuff, just check out those kind of things. If you like the kind of content that we're putting out here, then you'll like that content there as well. And what you can do is, one of the things that you can do, because I can kind of tell, because I get I get obviously alerts on my phone on like YouTube channels and all that kind of stuff, and I saw a notification there today. We're talking about the movies, was talking about the Snyder Cut, and you guys can listen to that, and then you can come back to us and give us your comments about what these guys are talking about, and vice versa. And then we'll have a conversation.
Present that show with very opposite side of what me and us are thinking. They're on that side of. Yeah, it's
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. So it's good to have opinions, man. Good to have different thoughts and stuff like that, which is why we do this show in the first place, guys. Also, as well, if you go onto iTunes, basically make sure that you give us a review on there as well. It helps people find us there as well. And go to the most active, which is the Facebook page, which is DCVS Marvel Podcast. And yeah,
help us be successful. Help us get to the point where we can sell out like Joe Rogan and go to Spotify.
and have to change the name because DC and Marvel bloody come and tell us we can't have the name there anymore. But yeah, that will be the thing, man. Right now, guys, we are unlike podcasts are very much unlike kind of YouTube channels and stuff like that. There, we pay for our own hosting, and we kind of just do it for like the love of the genre. You know what I mean? So if you guys want us to keep doing that, then just keep listening, man, and we'll keep bringing you the content, and that's it. And keep giving us the messages and the likes and all that kind of stuff that you can do, man. So until then, guys. We'll see you again next time.
Be there, guys.